Welcome to the BXG podcast, the podcast where pop culture and nerd culture meet at the nexus of the universe and are melded as seamlessly as Marvel, Star Wars, and leaving Britney alone. I am one of your hosts, Bretton Bestwick, alongside my co-host, often imitated, never duplicated, Greg Filson. How are you tonight, Greg?
Hashtag free Britney. I am doing okay. It was a nice little weekend. Got to see my mom yesterday, so that was fun. And things were normalized. Went to San Luis Obispo. Didn't really have to wear a mask, so that was fun. You got vaccinated for a reason, or vaccinated if you're part of the BXG family. You got vaccinated for a reason. So things are normal. It's nice. It went out, had some good food, good drinks. Got to tell some fun stories. So. It's been good. Good weekend, couple days off just to enjoy things. Yeah, it's just been good, man. How are you?
Good. It's been very fall-like here. The
What?
last few.
Fall-like?
Yeah, it was like 60. It was like 60 today, 64.
What? That's crazy.
No, that was yesterday. It was a little bit warmer today.
That's so weird. It better be 95 degrees on 4th of July, though.
I hope not. That's my daughter's birthday party. I'm not trying to deal with all that nonsense.
What? She wasn't born on the 4th of July, though. She was born on...
No, 6th.
6th, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought it was the 6th. Yeah, okay.
I was ready to go through the pigskin around.
Yeah, I was going to say, is Michigan losing some big game? Did I miss something?
100%. Definitely. But other than that, got out, played some disc golf today, and
oh, nice. I gotta hit the actual links soon.
Yeah, I don't do that. Golf's for rich white guys. Housekeeping. BXG podcast publishes every Friday at 12 p.m. on Podbean, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music, Google Podcasts, and other podcast services around the globe. Official BXG social media accounts on Facebook.com/BXG Podcast, Instagram at BXG Podcast, at GTFills at Y2B, Twitter at BXG Podcast, YouTube.com BXG Podcast. Our extra episode for the month of June is available. It is the Phase 1 review, rewatch, whatever you want to call it, of the MCU. I think it's one of our best episodes, honestly.
Oh, 100%. Yeah.
So, check that out. It's very good, in my opinion. We are still the giveaway contest. Next 25 people who share a BXG post, tag BXG, Greg or myself, will be entered into a drawing for a $25 gift card of their choosing, as long as it's not some weird seedy shit. So far, we only have 2. So, if you want free shit,
it's literally free.
It's literally free. All you have to do is share one of our posts.
Hey, OnlyFans accounts that keep randomly following me. Come on. What are you doing? Wow. Download the podcast.
We have one listener inquiry this week, and it comes from Bob Sacamano. And he writes in to say that Greg's Westminster Kennel Club was some impressive ranting, but he wants to know, what the hell is a doggo?
It's any dog. It's any dog. It's any
Why
dog.
is it not just a dog?
Because doggo is it's a more fun thing to say. I don't know, doggo. It is. Doggo.
No.
A dog is just, a dog is a dog by any name, but a doggo.
Do you know how many times you said doggo in that segment?
56?
12.
Oh, okay.
It was 5 minutes long.
Yeah.
So I don't know what that averages out to. I mean,
I love a good dog. Oh, I love a good doggo. And I also love an adoptable doggo. I don't have one because I just want to make sure that I could have one that would have the care and need that it needs, and I work too many hours to have that. But for people that can, we'll say adopt a doggo.
I have a dog for you, and I don't care
want your
if
dog.
It
I
needs
don't want
its
your
care-
doggo. I don't want your
care
doggo.
needs.
You take care of your doggo. I just like saying doggo. I think I just like saying doggo more. Also, I have this habit that anytime I get past, like every time I see a dog, even if the dog can't hear me, I'm just like, hi doggo. Every time. It's this weird thing that I've done now too. I think it's because of watching like Tommy Wiseau say like, hi doggy. I just now say doggo all the time. That's just
Well, you apparently said it enough that it drove me to have cold, dead eyes. So
apparently, yeah. Well,
yeah. Social media scoreboard: JJ Kish 13, Jared L 5, Aaron H 5, Anthony W 3, David S from Carn City 3, Dave C 2, EJC 1. One clarification and correction: Avatar I said was 15 years. It's been 11-ish. Or almost
that's within
12.
that's within the realm of reasoning. Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, and I did not know that the new one was this year. The release date is. I mean, it's slated for December, I think 21st of this year.
I won't see it, so
I'll probably see it.
Maybe.
Actually, I probably won't because I don't really like. I don't really have people to see movies with anymore at this point. Like, my wife will go to like the big Marvel movies with me.
Yeah.
Like Avengers. She saw Black Panther. She saw Captain Marvel. She saw Infinity War, Civil War, and Endgame with me. But those are the only ones. Those are the only ones that she's watched in theaters with me. And like, I saw all of the new Star Wars movies just by myself because I don't have. Used to be when I worked at that first group home, we would just go to movies,
Right.
and that was maybe the worst thing about that place closing was I was like, shit, now I'm gonna have to pay to watch movies. But I mean, it was like, oh, Thor: Dark World's out today, and even though everybody says it sucks, let's shut her down and go see it.
Would you have rather worked or seen that movie?
In hindsight, I probably would have rather worked. I can't bring myself to finish it.
It's rough.
Going to take a... Yeah.
I'll be honest, I've started it, and now I just am watching Infinity War and Endgame to get through it. I just like watch it for 15 minutes. I'm like, oh, I'll go watch Infinity War or watch Endgame now. But it's just like one of those things where like I can't do it. What were they doing? But we'll get into that.
Yeah, that's a different episode. But we've got a big beefy six-pack tonight. We've got The Summer of George rolls on with our guest Eddie McDonald. He picked a great episode.
He did.
And a couple quick hitters, one of which will probably make Greg's head explode. So, without further ado,
let's move on. So, Loki on Disney Plus. Loki emerges through the portal in the TVA and follows Lady Loki on her murderous path. She seeks the timekeepers, as does he, and so he follows until they are cornered. He uses a time pad to send them to another apocalyptic event on Lamentis 1, where the moon and planet are about to collide. Loki, and as she calls herself, Sylvia, must work together to find a way...
Sylvia or Sylvie?
I couldn't tell. That was one of those things
Sylvie.
where... It might be Sylvie. It was one of those weird, but it's something must work together to find a way safely out the planet before disaster strikes. During their time together, we learn how she enchants others and some of her backstory as it relates to Loki's. We also learn, in a brief line, the TVA workers are all variants, which could have some major implications moving forward, but not as immediate as the implications created by their ride off the planet before the calamity occurs being destroyed, thus leaving them stranded, albeit temporarily. What'd you think, Bren?
It's Sylvie. I looked it up.
Okay.
I think that, this episode gave us some exposition on that character, obviously, to kind of see what her backstory and motivations are. But I feel like it is straying into the area of familiar trappings of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, in that the antagonist is just a evil version of... I mean, in this case, it's very literal. Right. But it's just an evil, or in this case, I guess, eviler version of the protagonist. And I just can't, shake that feeling that is what is going on here, because... And it's kind of, to be honest with you, becoming stale at this point. Even WandaVision, for as different as it was, at the end of the day, was just two witches. You know what I mean? So I think that that's something that now 23, 24, 25 movies in, that they really need to find a solution for that. With that being said, some of the things I did like about the show, the episode, were. Tom Hiddleston's great.
He's so good. Like, it's one of those things where, like, we have a lot of really good actors. He's the best actor in these things. Like, I really...
One of them.
He's...
One of them.
I mean, you can tell that he is, like, you know, theater trained, I guess is what I should say. You know, not just someone that, you know, is... Because he does so much stuff in this episode. But yeah, go on with that, what you were saying.
So he's great. I think that this episode suffered from not having Owen Wilson in it at all. Mm-hmm. The contrast to that was we got one of my favorite filming techniques where it's one continuous shot. It wasn't a super long one, but at the end of the episode they did the one continuous shot as they made their way through the city to try to get on the Ark, quote unquote, to make their way off the planet. I think the other thing too is that knowing exactly how many episodes this is going to be takes away a little bit of the suspense because they're trapped on this planet. We know that it's going to blow up or whatever. The moon's going to collide with the planet and everybody's going to die. But guess what? It's 6 episodes long, so we know that there's not really any danger. And what likely will occur is that, I'm just guessing, that the TVA will show up and they will grab these two before any bad things can befall them. And that's how it ends. Well, it's not how it ends, but that's how they're going to get out of this situation. The thing for me that was the most interesting about this episode, and it was almost a throwaway line, all the TVA workers are variants.
Yeah, well, I don't think that was... I think that was intentional. I do think that was intentional. Yeah.
But that's what I mean. It was almost a throwaway line. It wasn't, but it was almost, because it was so quick. Like, he didn't even have time to process what it means.
Yeah.
And not only do I think it will have major implications moving forward for the last 3 episodes of this season, but as they've said, Loki season 2 is already in development.
Yeah.
And so I think that is also, like I said, not only major implications for the rest of this season moving forward, but this is how we get a season 2.
Yeah.
Basically. Is because now you have all these characters who are variants and you are operating along different timelines. They can do whatever the hell they want with that. And if they say, well, Loki's a variant and now he works for the TVA, basically it's just Loki's misadventures with the TVA.
Yeah.
And that's fine because with multiverse and all this other crap that they've got going on, it works. I did see that the Lady Loki character was likely the Marvel antagonist, the Enchantress. Yeah. I would say that giving her the name Sylvie, which is the name of that character, kind of confirms that at least it's more than just an Easter egg at this point. Right. You know what I mean? That's kind of my take on it, you know, the good, the bad, and the ugly of it. But what did you think of this episode?
So the way this fits in is phase 2, right? And so of the Marvel universe, it's right after the Avengers, and I felt it was a phase 2 movie. It's like there's a lot of stuff happening, but nothing is super important. I still liked it fine. Like the way I'm watching these phase 2 movies, like they're okay. There's nothing exceptional about it, but I still like it fine. You know, what you said was just like the Tom Hiddleston thing. Like I loved it. This episode, of all the episodes so far, the 3, really made me appreciate him. Because he's doing the whole thing. He does the whole little Irish jig in the bar where he's drunk and he doesn't care. Because like, well, the world's ending. What do we care about that? Yeah. And I thought that was very funny without being like, it was very funny without being like stupid funny. It's just like, he doesn't care that the world's ending. Let's just do this and whatever happens, happens. Because he still, you know, is a god or whatever at the end of the day. And then, the suspenseful ending where, you know, like you said, we know we're getting to season 2, so it's not as suspenseful as you would think. But, like, you know, I mean, it kind of goes with me a lot of Marvel movies. It's like, yeah, there's a suspenseful ending. But it's like Infinity War. It's like, yeah, half the population died. But we knew we were getting some people back. You're not killing off, you know, Spider-Man and stuff like that. Or, you know, whatever. And so... to me, this episode was kind of this best and worst of Marvel. That's really the way I look at it. Is like, okay, you're dealing with the thing where Marvel is funny and actually knows how to be funny, and you can be suspenseful, but like nothing is actually life or death at the moment. You're not going to kill off a really favorite character this early on, especially halfway through a season where there's going to be a season 2. But the thing that I was most intrigued about, and I said it midway through this episode, is like, I'm still like wondering how this fits into the universe, because this is phase 2. Like,
Right.
I'm so intrigued about where the next 3 episodes are going. Of like, I want to know what this, like, that's my biggest thing. Is like, as much as I like this show and as much as I like Loki, and you know, I like her as a character. I thought like she's a good like counter to him. Is a much eviler like she's much more evil than he is. Like he is more about like just his own good. She's more about destruction. Like I am excited to see like where they want to go with this, and they fit it in a way that makes sense. And so I think this was an episode where it was like, how do they turn this around to make this make sense in the rest of the universe?
I think going back to the first episode, and this is another one of those things that at the time maybe just seemed like a throwaway thing, and if you really break it down and look at it, it seems much more important. The Infinity Stones being used as paperweights in
Yes.
the TVA.
Yeah.
I think that that's important because that shows we're beyond this now.
Right. Yep.
And so, you know, asking that question of how does this fit into the rest of the universe, I think that maybe by the end of the show, and I know we only have 3 more episodes, but by the end of the show, we're asking how the rest of the universe fits into this. Like, I think this is the universe now. Because we're dealing with time, we're dealing with multiple timelines, we're dealing with, you know, variants in multiple dimensions and things like that. And I think that's going to be less of a question of how does Loki fit in with everything else, and more so how does everything else fit into whatever happens at the end of this show.
Yeah. And like, I still really like the show, and I think it had like insanely good ratings too.
Yeah.
So it's one of those things where I think Loki's a very cool character, and if you read the comic books, and I suggest go back and read Loki comic books, they're actually a lot of fun. I have read them, and it's a whole different thing because he's a god, but he's like a lesser god. And this is kind of one of those things where you do see he's a lesser god because he's literally just doing hand-to-hand combat with people, and he does the magic trick where he's trying to show his tickets, but he does the fireworks instead.
Yeah.
So I do, you know, I still really like this show. I don't want to compare it to the other 2 shows until we're done, because we still have 3 episodes, and a lot can happen. I think a lot can happen, and I think this show has the most that can happen at the halfway point beyond the other episodes. Or the other shows, I'm sorry.
Yeah. I think that and they've said this show will have greater ramifications for everything else.
That doesn't shock me.
The first 2. Yeah. But, you know, like you said, I didn't dislike it. You know what I mean?
No.
Like, I didn't dislike it. I just think that it's our kind of, not job, but part of the reason we do this is to be objective, and it would be easy to really just like everything that we watch just like geek out over it and be like, oh man, Loki's into dudes, Loki's into chicks, Lady Loki's into dudes.
Yeah, I don't
chicks.
actually hate all that. Like, I don't, that's the thing that we shouldn't, my thing is I don't hate it in the sense of like, it's just, we should be beyond that.
Well, yeah, it's like shoehorned.
Right.
Yeah,
They
shoehorned in or whatever.
They did do it very passively, which
Yeah,
I like
it
that.
was
I did.
subtle.
I like the way they did it. I just didn't like the articles that followed this.
Followed it. Yeah.
The way they did
Yeah.
it, they handled it perfectly. Or it's just like, yeah, a little bit of both.
This is what it is.
Yeah, this is
This is what it's always been.
Which is
you know?
actually how it is in the comic books.
Yeah.
In
Yeah,
the
it's canon.
70s. So,
Right. That's a whole nother thing entirely, and we can get into that on another topic. But yeah, I think it's very easy to get caught up in the hype of these shows, whether it be the Marvel shows or the Star Wars shows or any of the other shows that we talk about or movies we talk about. I think it's easy to get caught up in the hype.
yeah.
It's harder to say, well, maybe this thing didn't work for me this time.
Right.
You know? But I think it's important that we're able to do that. With that being said, we move on. Oh, you got more?
No, I was just saying, I 100% agree. Like, this episode was fine. Wasn't my favorite thing ever, but it was fine.
Yeah.
We'll move on.
Right. We will move on to number 2, the Bad Batch reunion, episode 8, I think.
8. Yeah, 8.
Yeah. After being spotted and reported by scavengers on the Jedi Light Cruiser, the Batch is subjected to a reunion with Crosshair and the Empire. The two groups engage after some cat and mouse games, and Clone Force 99 escapes for a brief respite into the ion engine shaft of the cruiser. Crosshair has his troops power on the engine, and the Batch is forced to blow the engine shaft in half to escape, which sees Crosshair badly injured. Hunter and Omega are separated from Wrecker Tech and Echo and make it back to the ship, only to find famed Western stylized bounty hunter Cad Bane, which is another Clone Wars cameo, and his trusty droid Toto 360, who are dispatched by the ministers of Kamino to retrieve Omega. Hunter and Bane square off in a showdown in a high noon style gunslinger contest that sees Hunter take one to the chest plate and lose Omega. The rest of the crew rescues Hunter before any more peril can befall him, and the crew takes off amid fire from the Empire. What'd you think?
I really like this episode because like stuff happened. Things are they're at stake. Finally, and that's one of those things where like we're so used to what we're watching with 6 episodes with Marvel, but with as many episodes, we're halfway through the season now. It's like, okay, now we're getting into the juicy stuff. Things are at stake. People's welfare are at stake, and to lose Omega, I thought that was such a good ending. Like now we're halfway through. We have someone being lost. Hunter is screwed up, and it was just like it was a really to me it was like a really good Star Wars mini movie. That's how the way I looked at it. Like the way it's shot from the very beginning too. I was like, is this still a cartoon? It looks so cool at the very beginning. I thought this one was the most stylized of these episodes so far too. It just looked very much like we're taking this a little more seriously now because we're halfway through. And if you've stuck through it this long, maybe now we're gonna play more to the adult crowd than the kid crowd. That's how I looked at it. I thought it was a more adult episode, just because so many things were at risk.
Yeah, I think that this was probably. I know we both liked last week's episode for some of the same reasons that there was maybe a little bit more going on. The stakes were a little bit higher. This episode was probably my favorite.
Yeah.
So far, and really, squaring off with Crosshair was inevitable. I think somewhere along the lines, I said that I would like more of that. So to get more of that was nice, and then also to see Crosshair kind of get his nose bloodied a little bit was good. The bounty hunter was so freaking rad, man.
Oh man, that was so cool.
He's got almost like a sombrero. He's got the toothpick. The music changes to almost like a freaking Sergio Leone spaghetti western style.
Yeah.
And then they do the whole thing, and he's got the gun tricks as he's reholstering and everything. Like that character to me was standout. Was really what took a good episode and made it great.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, and I know I've seen online, it's like a lot of people have complaints with the Bad Batch is just a cameo machine. There's a new cameo from the old series every week, this and that. And yeah, I get that. And maybe it's a little bit more exciting for us because we don't have the history with the Clone Wars or Rebels and everything to see those characters. It's maybe a little bit more exciting than it is for people who are just like, oh, this is just a way to, make cameos or whatever. But I really liked it. I honestly, because I watched them back to back, I think I liked this episode more than I liked Loki this week, honestly.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I thought this was an episode that had more, more stuff at stake, like I said already, but I just felt it had more stuff going on. There was, every character kind of seemed important in this episode. And, in Loki, there was just 2 characters that had any sort of role importance, but this one was just, there was an emotional connection to this episode, which is the first time I really can say that for this show. As much as I actually enjoy this so far, it's a plus rating for me overall. But this one was just oh, okay, things actually matter now, and we're kind of hitting that point where I don't know what's gonna happen, and I like that. I don't know what's gonna happen. I don't know how. I don't know how they go forward because a lot of things are kind of screwed up right now for them, and I like that.
Yeah, there's 6 episodes left And I just hope that at this point, it's just, for the last 6 episodes, just pedal to the metal.
I think it will be.
Every single episode has like a driving purpose, threat, tension, and not like some bullshit filler mission, basically. Because we've gotten, like in the early episodes, we definitely saw a lot of those.
Right.
But anyway.
I just want to point out, this is like the funny thing is, with doing Seinfeld and stuff like that, is it's so funny. We watch seasons now that are, 6 to 10 episodes, and we're like, that's enough. And this one's 14 or whatever.
And it feels
like,
long.
And it feels long, but it's like, there was seasons of Seinfeld that were 25 episodes. And it's like, think about, and we never got bored with that, though. That's like my point. It's like, imagine the creativeness. And I'm not saying people are less creative or whatever. I don't know what it is. It's just there's so much content out there, so you have to kind of be not less creative. You just have to be able to put more of your stuff in fewer episodes. But it's crazy to think that people were writing 25 episodes a season. And you had to make those episodes work because, like, it sounds funny to people that are younger or listening to this. TV Guide, all those things like Entertainment Weekly, that really mattered every week to your show. So, like, kudos to these shows that can hang around for, 10 to 14 episodes, even though, in our era, 25 episodes was a thing. But 10 to 14 episodes is still tough. I couldn't do it. I would love to write a sitcom. 10 to 14 episodes? That's nuts.
A lot of it, too, is money. You know
right.
what I mean?
Yeah.
Especially with these things, with, like, Disney and Star Wars and Marvel and, I mean, even HBO and stuff like that, because you have the same, like, what's the budget for a 24 episode season of Seinfeld, even adjusted for inflation? It's gonna be a fraction of what it is for something like Loki, The Mandalorian, Game of Thrones, anything like that. You know what I mean? So part of it too comes down to.
But even like Curb Your Enthusiasm seasons, which we'll get into when we talk about Seinfeld. But it's like those are only 10 episodes, and there's nothing going on there. It's just. It's one of those funny things where it's just like, it's hard. It's just actually hard to write TV episodes.
Yeah, sure. And the premium networks like to keep their seasons shorter.
Sure, right.
Too.
Right.
Because like even the Office is 24, 25 episodes a season. So, but anyway.
Kudos to people that write TV episodes. I just want to point out, it's hard.
In general.
Yeah, it's very tough. Kudos to you guys for doing it. Thank you. All right, we're on the topic number 3. It's the Summer of George, and we brought on our friend Eddie to talk about the contest. And
fuck Hulu.
Yeah, fuck you, Hulu. I mean, we all probably own the DVDs if you're a true Seinfeld lover, but I gotta dust those bad boys off. I mean, I don't know. Yeah. I will be fun to go back and rewatch the commentary. But the contest is the 51st episode of the NBC sitcom, the 11th episode of the 4th season, and it aired on November 18th, 1992. In the episode, Jerry, George, Elaine, and Kramer hold a contest to determine who can go for the longest without masturbating. And NBC thought that masturbation was not a topic suitable for primetime television, the word masturbation is never used in the episode. The term master of my domain, describing someone who has resisted the urge to masturbate, has since become a catchphrase in popular culture. The writer of the episode, Larry David, won the Primetime Emmy Award for Outstanding Individual Achievement in Writing in a Comedy Series for his work. The episode was ranked number 1 on TV Guide's 2009 list of 100 greatest episodes of all time. So to start this off, Eddie, like, why did you want to do this as your Summer of George episode? And I mean, obviously, there's a lot going on to say why you would, but why personally did you pick this episode?
It's probably my favorite episode of Seinfeld ever. If it's not my favorite, it's my second favorite. The Junior Mint is up there for me. There's something about that. I remember watching that with my dad, and I remember he was laughing hysterically, and I didn't understand anything that was happening, because I was young when it would air. And then we had watched it back later on in life, and that always stood out. And it's always been one of my favorites just because of Kramer and his nonsense with the Junior Mint, and it almost kills someone. But the contest is just hilarious, just from the theatrics of George's mother and all the characters and how the contest comes to be. It's just one of my favorite episodes of anything. And then after watching Curb Your Enthusiasm earlier this year, I have a better appreciation for all Seinfeld episodes. So
I think this is kind of, when you think of Curb Your Enthusiasm, this is maybe the most Curb Your Enthusiasm episode too, where like they take something that they just rename it to something, and we all know what it means. Even though this episode came out when I was 6 years old, and I remember watching this episode having no idea what the heck's going on, but like because of all the theatrics of everyone, where Kramer's like, "I'm out," and he slaps the table. Literally like a day after the contest starts, and Elaine's out because of JFK Jr. It's just like, this is so funny. Like, as a little kid, I'm watching this having no idea, but just the theatrics of the episode plays. And as you get older and older and you rewatch these episodes, and you're like, oh, I understand what this is about now. This is what I think makes this episode kind of, a lot of people's number one episode. I was telling Brenton, it actually doesn't probably make my top 5, and it might be just the fact that everyone thinks it is so good, so I kind of look beyond that. But I think what happens here, too, is this is an episode where all 4 characters are like 25% of the show, which is very rare in Seinfeld lore. Every character has their own storyline, and I think that's what's really important and what makes this so good and what makes Larry David one of the great comedy writers of all time.
Yeah, absolutely. He's one of my favorites. I never watched Curb Your Enthusiasm until this year. I'd seen a few episodes.
Oh, wow.
It was just something I didn't always have HBO either. And it was just something that I never really got into for some reason, which a lot of people are like, oh, you like Seinfeld, you love this. It's like Seinfeld, but on steroids, and they can swear. Well, and I was like, okay, well, I'll give it a shot. And then this year, a buddy of mine had HBO Max and let me use it. And I was like, well, this is exactly what I'm watching. And finished it in, I don't know, a couple months. And I can't wait for the next season to come out. But Larry David is hysterical. And then I always knew that George was based off him. But then seeing him actually play George in I guess, pseudo real life for him made it all the better. And especially for this episode, it's just hilarious how George gets himself into the situation and then gets everyone else involved. And like you said, each character has 25% of the episode pretty much. Something that does not happen. Usually it's, 1 or 2. They're all in them. Except George wasn't in one of the first ones. And he told Larry David, if you don't want to put me in an episode, then don't put me in the show at all.
Right.
Which would have been tragic. But yeah, like you said, it's a nice contrast of everyone. Each one gets their own little segment. And Kramer starting off, I'm out already.
Just because the neighbor across the street, which there is in trivia for Seinfeld, the way that the apartments would be set up, apparently that Kramer actually couldn't see that if you were being like super like breaking things down from Jerry's apartment. But we don't worry about things like that because it's it's a sitcom.
Well, yeah, I was going to say one of the things, especially that I've seen recently, is that the layout of Jerry's apartment is impossible.
Mm-hmm.
Yes,
with the way the apartment or the hall curves and what have you. So there is you do have to suspend disbelief a little bit for some of these things.
That should be with any sitcom at the very least, is like everything's made to be funny. Like at the end of the day, it's more about being funny than being realistic. And I think this episode is maybe like I said, this is considered a number one episode for a lot of people. This may be the episode where that is all the suspension of disbelief of all these things, where it's just like JFK Jr.'s at Elaine's gym for whatever reason. And, Jerry's got this, neighbor across the street that he can see naked. And, George's whole thing where he goes to see his mom in the hospital, and then someone's getting sponge bath right there. And you can see the shadow work of it. It's just also insane, but like also not like a later, like the last third of Seinfeld insane. Like all these things could actually happen. It just happens in every character gets their own weird storyline. And Brenton, what do you think about this? What is your overall thoughts on this?
Well, first of all, shout out to I don't know the actress's name, but Daphne from Frasier.
Yes,
who is Jerry's girlfriend in this episode and winds up with JFK Jr. To me, as I watched it back here the other day, the episode was really made by Estelle, and because she's just so nuts. You know what I mean? Yeah. She's just completely out of control. Her volume's turned up to 11 at all times. And, I want you to see a psychiatrist and all, just the whole insistence upon. And then even like, I think this is a great portrayal of the character when George recounts the story of getting caught. Yes. And the things that she says, you can hear those, or at least I can. You can hear those in your mind's eye of her saying those things.
And I think too, it's like because Jerry Stiller always gets the credit of being like, probably the favorite parent of anyone on Seinfeld. But like this is like you said, in a Estelle episode, she gets to be Jerry Stiller. That's basically
Yeah.
what this thing is like you get to just be this completely eccentric character who screams and yells and breaks things down as if it was Jerry Stiller. It's Jane Leaves, by the way.
Is Daphne.
Daphne, yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, sure. So, but this is that thing where like this episode, it goes kind of beyond comedy, and I think the biggest thing that I think of, and I think we're all about the same age. Is this is 1992, and this is an episode about masturbation. This broke so many rules. They did not talk about this stuff back then. This was not a thing, and I think going forward, this changed sitcoms. This allowed things like Friends to happen. So it is one of those like key episodes where it's funny, yes, but it also helped pave the way for other sitcoms.
It's one of those things that I think that as we rewatch a lot of these episodes, I think 3 of the 4 episodes that we've done so far with this, the Jimmy, and the Chinese restaurant, I don't think you could make those today. I don't think you could make you definitely couldn't make the Jimmy.
Nope.
Because of the jokes towards mentally challenged people. This one's probably a stretch. I mean, it works on a show like Curb, where you can say these things or whatever, but not network television. Glory no.
It might be funnier on Curb actually, just because they have the element of swearing.
Yeah, I was gonna say it might actually end up being a funnier episode on something like HBO or something where they can use the word and
sure.
I don't know.
But isn't that kind of why it's funny to an extent? Because it's almost like it's the implication.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah.
Versus being hammered over that. And that's the thing that I think makes Larry David, especially in this case, such a good writer, is it's the subtleties.
Yeah, absolutely. That's what I like. Even like watching Curb through, like there's little subtle things that happen that you notice, especially with him and his constant hijinks. And then you can sort of translate that to Seinfeld, where it's just like, okay, there's a subtle, there's a reference to this, and oh, they're talking about that. Oh my gosh, they can't talk about that, can they? Well, they
right.
It's on TV, and how it was on TV in 1992, I won't know, but I'm glad it was.
Right. Yeah.
But yeah, I think, Greg, you were right. This is the precursor to a lot of shows. This is the precursor to a lot of things being able to be on sitcoms and things like that, like a show like Friends, which is an overrated show, by the way, but I digress.
Agreed completely.
You're in the same, we're all in the same camp there. It's also funny is that this was originally written with masturbation being used. And then, like we put in here, NBC thought it wouldn't work. So I guess my question for the both of you is, do you think the show's better or worse that they weren't able to use it?
Better.
Because I think it's better. I think it's better. Master of My Domain
way better
is now a thing. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely better.
That's used in, pop culture, it's been throughout, the past, for as long as I can remember. Can you be the master of your domain? And if you didn't watch Seinfeld, you're not going to understand that, but some people can put 2 and 2 together and be like, oh, yeah, okay, I see what you're saying. But, for the Seinfeld fans, that's become something that's big in pop culture. And especially I feel over the past, 20 or so years since the show went off the air.
Yeah. And I guess, and then my final question on this is, who was your favorite exit? Who was your favorite exit from the contest?
It was easily Kramer, just because of it.
Okay.
It happened so quickly. He comes, of course, because his door hijinks where he bursts through the door. I'm out. Slams the money on the table, and everyone just looks at him. Already?
I do think that's my answer too. But Elaine's storyline about JFK Jr. was at the gym is just so funny to me. It's like Kramer's is the best, but Elaine's is the most absurd. But yeah, I mean, this is a classic episode for a reason, and I'm really glad you picked it, Eddie, because I thought maybe I was going to have to do it, which isn't a bad thing, but it's I felt bad that because I'm going to be the last one to do it, I felt bad that this episode, as a classic episode, would have the last deal. But yeah, thank you, Eddie, for joining us, and we really appreciate you for picking this episode and coming on and with your insight.
Oh, of course, I love coming on anytime you guys need or want me to come on, talk anything. We talked wrestling the first time, Seinfeld this time. Maybe some Ted Lasso in the future, as we talked about that before. Curb Your Enthusiasm. There's a bunch of stuff from Curb Your Enthusiasm that it's a lot of fun, and like I said before to you guys, I love the pop culture aspect of this. It's not just, all right, we're going to talk about just movies or TV shows, or
Yeah.
you guys had the Peeps review, and a bunch of cool things so far, and I'm excited to see where it goes.
Appreciate that, man. I will say that in my head, like as I plan, or as we plan this out, I definitely think next summer, as long as we're still kicking with this, is I'm thinking of kind of doing a similar scenario as we're doing with Seinfeld, but running it back with The Office. And I know that you're an Office guy,
Huge Office
because
fan.
we used to watch. Yeah, we used to watch it at work together and everything. So
We used
that'll
to pay to
definitely
watch
be
The Office. That was one of the good things about that place. That
one of the few perks.
not very many.
Indeed. But all right, man, we'll take care. We, like Greg said, we appreciate you coming on. It was a great episode. Another hot pick. We've been pretty spicy so far with these episodes. I like it. I can't wait to see where we go next week.
Yeah, thanks for having me on.
So, all right, thanks a lot.
Yep, you guys take care.
Thanks, Eddie. You too.
All right, well, we want to thank Eddie for coming on the contest. Great episode, great pool. Like I said, four out the gate for the Summer of George have been saucy.
I think I'll just do the Puerto Rican Day. I think I'm just going to do it. I was hesitant, but now people are asking for it. People want me to talk about it.
They are?
It's my favorite. Yeah, it's my favorite episode of Seinfeld.
Who's asking for it?
Friends of mine want me to talk about it because I love that episode.
Okay.
Literally
I'm thinking about switching mine. I'm thinking about it.
I mean, if people just want to have me talk about 10 episodes of Seinfeld,
yeah,
I can do it. Don't worry about it. But yeah, Eddie, thank you for coming on, picking a great episode.
Yeah. Number 4. Britney Spears, for the last 13 years, has been controlled by her father, placed in a rare court-appointed conservatorship.
Yeah,
Conservatorship.
Conservatorship.
I get my glasses hopefully this week.
Nice.
The pop star lost power over her vast fortune and business dealings, a move her father, Jamie Spears, and others argued was necessary to protect her from grifters and other potential pitfalls while she focused on her mental health. In Los Angeles Wednesday, Britney was able to address a judge about her conservatorship. Per the New York Times, Britney is in an emotional plea asked to end her conservatorship. How many more times is that in the write-up?
It's a big word, man.
Quote, it's embarrassing and demoralizing. I want changes and deserve changes, end quote. According to Rolling Stone, Spears appeared in court via Zoom after technical difficulties delayed the hearing. Spears requested that her testimony remain open for all to hear because they've done a pretty good job exploiting my life, end quote. Spears' harrowing testimony presented her side of the last 13 years of her life, which have been controlled by the Jamie Spears, the left-led conservatorship. Spears noted that any claims that she has dementia are false. She's a little young for that. Or is that him?
That's him. Jamie.
Okay. Jamie Spears noted that any claims that she has made about dementia are false, noting that she had been the one to teach her dancers the choreography of her shows. Spears pointed out that the medication she has been given over the last 8 years, including lithium, which she describes as a strong drug, I can corroborate that. She compared herself to a sex trafficking victim while describing her life, where she's forced to work every day. The people who did this to me should not be able to get away and walk away easily, end quote, she told the courtroom. I don't know that from personal experience, just professional.
Sure. Well,
about lithium.
The thing with, and I'll get into this, and I know I do my rants. This is not going to be a rant this week. It's just like, this is insane. Like, I understand she went through her stuff. We all know when she shaved her head and she bashed. A lot of people have done a lot of things. This was 13 years ago. I was 23 at that time. I mean, I was working in a newspaper. I was actually pretty mundane at that time. But she would have been 26 at that time. 26, going on 27. It's one of those things where I don't know what's going on there. Her dad seems like a real winner. anyone that names their other daughter the same name as their dad, which is what happened. Her Britney's sister is Jamie Lynn Spears. That's got to be a little weird. That guy's got a lot of issues. The thing that I didn't put in this because I want to point out is that she was forced to have an IUD put into her, and she's not allowed to remove it or have kids or be married during this whole thing. And if you follow Britney Spears on Instagram like I do, she puts out these weird videos pretty much every day about like, I'm doing okay. It's super concerning, super weird, and it's just kind of this cult mentality. There's this cult thing going on with her dad, which, there's the hashtag Free Britney out there, and with the documentary came out with this stuff, and it's like things are actually getting like super gnarly in this camp, and I hope for her sake, but I also hope for other people's sake. They're out there. Maybe, this is a very rare thing where like someone that young gets put into this situation, but I'm sure there's problems out there where people are like, brainwashed to believe that they should be put under someone else's care, even if they're fine. I think, Britney had some issues and stuff like that, but I understand like, oh, okay, she did some weird stuff. I think Britney, 5 years down the road from all this happened, we put her, without the conservatorship would have been fine. I'm just saying this based on the life of how people live. Her dad doing this, the fact that she's able to go and like talk coherently to a judge, I think is also like a very like prescient thing where it's like she can say things and she's like, I don't deserve this. This is like batshit crazy that I'm doing this kind of thing. And it's just like, I hope good things for her because, whatever you think about Britney's music, which I love Britney's music, I do, and it's one of those things. But I also I love people that just can just enjoy their life, and to see someone actually feel like she's a slave to her dad in this weird world is so gnarly to me. In like 2021, where like people aren't stepping in, aren't trying to change things, and it's like you feel like there'd be some sort of like middle party that would have come in like 10 years ago and been like, this is super screwed up. We need to like fix this. And I mean, she has a boyfriend who, like they have like little things here. It's like there feels like there should be something going on. It's like there's a lot of problems with the court system in the United States, and Britney Spears' freedom, doesn't need to be the first thing, but I'm sure there's other things out there with, less famous people. And I think that's actually the kind of the point I'm trying to make with this is super weird. We have way bigger things to worry about, and maybe things that shouldn't, Britney Spears appeared in court today for a couple hours just to be a normal person, just to be away from her dad. And yet we're, who knows how many, thousands of dollars were paved away through this in Los Angeles to just have her talk about like, hey, I'm not I see crazy people every day. I see crazy people every day at the bookstore. They're not under any conservatorship. And by watching Britney, she's not crazy. Maybe she's a little weird. Everybody's a little weird. So I just hope that, I hope she gets out of this. I hope better things for her. And, it's just weird to me. I think the mental health issue, and just to go on that thing, is such a gnarly top in this country where people don't take it seriously. Or they take it to a realm where, once you're confirmed to have a mental health issue, you're just completely fucking crazy, and there's no help for you. There's a middle ground. There's actually a middle ground where maybe you have mental health issues, maybe you need to have a psychiatrist, be on some drugs, not lithium, which is basically what happened and killed Kurt Cobain was on lithium.
Yeah, lithium's used primarily to treat bipolar and schizophrenia.
Right.
And it's really, really strong. You have to get blood work done pretty regularly to check the lithium levels in your blood and stuff like that. So it's nothing to sneeze at. I'd be interested, just from having a background working in mental health, for the last 10 plus years, just to see what kind of cocktail they have her on. I remember seeing her on the X Factor show or whatever, and it was so obvious that she's super medicated,
right?
What I mean? Just her affect was just kind of so flat at times, and then other times over exuberant and things like that. Just from that standpoint, I'd be interested to see kind of where some of this is going. I think I'm sure, taken out of context, being compared to a sex trafficking victim is maybe a bridge too far for me, just from, again, my professional background. And like I said, probably taken out of context.
And I think that basically just comes down to the fact that she was literally had an IUD forced into her. You know what I mean? Like, that's the thing. She can't have... I think that's the way she looks at it. And, yeah, I mean, she does have a different illusion of life. And I agree with you. There is that thing where, like, that might have been taken out of context for her. But she also... She's not really allowed to see the outside world. That's the thing that's super weird.
Yeah.
This is the weirdest thing to see someone go through. And we've seen a lot of celebrities go through some weird shit. Whether it be Michael Jackson or, you know, Madonna's had some weird stuff go on. Britney Spears, this to me is the weirdest thing. Like that I've seen, that I personally have gone through, where it's like,
certainly
she's not, yeah, she's not the, we'll say this, and obviously, you know, we don't know Britney Spears personally or anything. There's no way she's the most screwed up of any of these people. She just happened to have a dad that is definitely weird. And that's a big thing where, like, I remember reading stories with her early on where she had this, like, weird relationship with her dad. You know, like, and so there's something going on. I think, you know, he definitely has some sort of cult allegiance over her and maybe over her sister, maybe over her mom. We never hear anything about her mom anymore, which is just kind of weird to me. It's always her dad. So, you know, I just want the best for Britney. Because I want the best for everybody that, you know, is going through anything. But it's weird to see this so out front. I mean, this was the major news story of the day. I was, you know, it sounds weird, but it's like, you know, when I found that this was today, I was like, oh my gosh, I'm glad we're recording on Wednesday and not Tuesday, because this is a very important news story. Like, every news organization I follow made this their main topic today about her, you know, conservatorship, like her talking about it. And so, you know, it's sad to talk about. There's nothing, I don't think there's anything you can take away other than, like, I'm glad she was able to finally speak about it. And we'll see what happens going forward.
Yeah. Like I said, I find it care one way or the other about, you know, Britney Spears from a pop culture standpoint, but I am kind of curious to see how this unfolds just in terms of, like, the mental health aspects of it and things like that. That's because it'll be, you know, to a certain extent professionally interesting to me, but, you know, we move on to less weighty topics, which is movie news for this week. According to Marvel boss Kevin Feige, I don't know how to say it.
Feige.
More prequel movies like Black Widow could be on the way for some Marvel characters. He did say in an interview, quote, certainly this film and this story is a particular case for Natasha, but the notion of exploring the past, present, and future of the MCU is certainly in the cards for all of our characters. This particular story of this particular cast is very personal, very specific to Natasha, end quote. So I just don't know who you have left to do anything like this.
That was like my question. I think she's the only one we don't have a pre-story too.
Any really backstory. I mean, we're going to get Hawkeye.
Right.
A series.
Yeah.
I don't know that he needs his own movie. I'm racking my brain to try to think
I can't think of anyone that I was like
maybe Bucky gets something about his Winter Soldier days. I
right.
mean, but then it's
maybe.
Like framing him as the bad guy.
Right.
You know? So I just don't know.
This just kind of feels like a way to like keep promoting this movie that's been delayed so long, which I still think the more I actually watch the previews, the more I actually get excited about it. But not just because of Florence Pugh, but I just think this will be a fun. You know, we get to finally get a Marvel movie. That's awesome for me.
New Suicide Squad trailer. They need to give up Harley. Harley Quinn is like here's where I'm at with this. Is we've done Harley Quinn now. This will be the third time. I just don't think anybody cares about that character. They think Margot Robbie wearing short shorts is going to sell tickets to these things.
That was literally my response. Is like, I like her in everything except this. I don't think it matters. It does not matter. She's a good actress, but this is not about acting. This is about
exactly.
Yeah. So whatever with this, I'm done with it. Suicide Squad is so boring as a comic book too. Like, get over it. Move on.
Yeah. Idris Elba seems like his character maybe seems a little bit more interesting than the Will Smith character.
Yeah.
I will say that. for this, but then like King Shark and everything,
Those movies gonna be so bad.
yeah, it's not going to be good. New G.I. Joe Origin Snake Eyes movie trailer and the announcement that the movie will open the 2021 Comic-Con at home with a cast panel.
Cool.
Do you know what this makes me want?
What's that?
Like, did you watch the trailer?
Yes.
Once every like 10 years or so, maybe even 20, we get a really awesome kung fu movie that comes out of
Isn't that
East.
gonna be Shang-Chi?
No. I'm talking about a legitimate,
Oh, like, okay, I see what you
like
mean.
a
Okay.
legitimate Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, Once Upon a Time in
Sure.
China, House of Flying Daggers. A legitimately good kung fu movie. You know, you could even go back to like Samurai 7 and shit like that.
Sure,
Kurosawa
yeah.
films. That's what this makes me want. Is like just, and I actually like after I watched this, I was like, I wonder if Once Upon a Time in China is streaming on anything. And it is. It's on Prime.
Yeah.
In case you were curious. But that's what it makes me want. It makes me want one of those awesome kung fu movies that we get just every now and again.
Sure.
You know
I
what
love
I
those
mean?
movies too. Yeah, that's
This isn't gonna be good.
no.
And they need to give up the G.I. Joe thing as they need to give up other things, which we'll get to here in a couple minutes. But that's what this trailer made me want. Shang-Chi's isn't gonna be that because it's gonna be too much Marvel, which is
Right.
fine. It's fine.
Right,
I mean,
right,
that's what we
right,
know
right.
we're getting. But I want like a kung fu movie, like an awesome kung fu movie. Carrie Fisher to receive a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame.
Seems so late.
Yeah, I was going to say it's about the
Princess Leia, for Christ's sake.
Yeah,
Like,
she didn't do a whole lot after that, but
I don't care. She was
Princess
Princess Leia.
right. Mark Hamill had one for Big
Right.
Luke. I mean,
Yep.
because he didn't do anything else other than
Right.
The Joker voice. Shazam 2 shoot suits. Did you see the first?
I have not seen
Shazam?
it yet. I see it's playing. I will watch it. I'll watch it.
Yeah, Shazam 2 suits shown off in a recent release.
They look like
Shazam suits.
Shazam suits.
That's what they look like. They
Yeah,
sure
good for
did.
them doing that.
Yeah. Harrison Ford injured during a rehearsal of a fight scene for Indiana Jones 5. They will continue filming and working around him.
He's like 90.
Why is he rehearsing fight scenes?
Yeah, he should not be doing. He should just be like sitting in like a lab, telling whoever is.
He shouldn't even be sitting in a lab. He should be sitting somewhere where there's warm colors with an Afghan draped over his legs.
Yeah, nice whiskey
And some
cocktail.
tea. No, just some tea.
Just some tea. Okay.
Yeah. Maybe there's some people playing bingo in the back,
Okay.
watching Golden Girls or Law and Order, whatever they watch in retirement homes. I love Harrison Ford and I love Indy.
Yeah,
There's no
yeah.
reason for
We don't.
there's no reason for the sentence that I just read to occur.
No, you're right.
There's
you're
just
right.
not. There's just not. The Shrink Next Door, starring Will Ferrell, Paul Rudd, and Katherine Hahn, which is an Apple original movie, got a trailer. Did you watch this?
Yeah, count me in.
I'll tell you what it's going to be. I'm
Funny.
going to tell you exactly what it's going to be. You got those three. So you're signing up for it to be funny, and then it's just going to be really fucking depressing. 100%
Well,
that's
it's
guaranteed
going to
what
be
it's gonna
funny, and then it's going to slide off the rails depressing. That's what's going to happen. You're going to get a little, like, 25 minutes of really funny. And
I don't
then
even think you get that long.
you don't think you're going to get 25? I think you get 25 minutes of funny, and then you're going to be like, oh, this is depressing. I bet I still like it.
It's gonna be funny and sad the way that like Little Miss Sunshine was,
Right.
but it's
right.
going to have less funny and more sad. Like he just like Will Ferrell with the bushy beard, the crazy hair, and the glasses just looks sad to me.
Sure.
Like even when he played characters like that on SNL, they just looked sad.
Right.
And I
You're
mean,
not wrong.
I think he's probably headed in that kind of direction with his career where he's wants to maybe do more dramatic roles. Like he's done Anchorman, he's done Ricky Bobby, he's done Step Brothers, all that stuff. The just crazy, like the insane comedic characters.
Yeah.
And maybe as he's, getting a little bit older now, obviously, he wants to do more. I mean, Jim Carrey did the same thing,
Right.
So.
We both did the same thing.
Transformers 7. Transformers 7.
There's more Transformers than there are Indiana Jones. Just point that out. Just say that out loud.
Transformers 7 has been given a name. Transformers Rise of the Beasts. It will be directed by Creed II helmsman Steve Capel. Elements from the Beast Wars series will be introduced, and the film will take place in 1994. Nothing makes sense anymore.
I don't even know what?
So I will say that this
More than meets the eye?
The only Michael Bay, non-directed Michael Bay Transformers movie was Bumblebee.
Yeah.
And I didn't see it, but
Sure.
I heard that it was actually not that bad. With that being said,
Same.
I'm pretty sure the lead in it is John Cena. So, he's
Well.
like the guy,
Yeah,
like the Mark Wahlberg character.
Okay.
This is what I want. And I'm making this pitch to whoever. Hasbro, DreamWorks, whoever. Put me in a room for a month. And I guarantee you, I'll do it for free.
Don't do anything for free, Brent.
And I guarantee you, I could put together the best Transformer movie that has been. Wouldn't even take me a month.
Other than
Wouldn't
the
take me a month.
original
It would take me
You
2
mean the
hours.
live action, not the... I'm sorry,
Yeah.
not the cartoon
Right.
from the 80s. Okay,
Live
all
action.
right.
I would
Live-
make the best live action Transformers movie.
I would put my money on it. You're right. You would.
You want to know why I would do that? It would be easy. Light work. Because I'd just make the animated movie into a real movie.
Sure. Right. You're 100%. I don't doubt you for a second on any of this. So.
I don't know that we could get Orson Welles, but...
Oh, the French.
Oh, French. Okay, news comes that Pierce
R.I.P.
Brosnan's Dr. Fate in Black Adam will be mostly mocap CGI, making the actor not really necessary, but let's face it, Pierce Brosnan's career has not really been necessary.
That's pretty accurate.
Name a movie that he's in that's not dog shit.
The one with Renee Zellweger. I can't think of the name of it. That movie's okay, but I can't think of the name of it. It's like a remake of a movie. The movie's fine. That's where we're at, though. That's it. I can't think of the name of the movie, so I'm wrong. And I'm wrong
Right.
now. I was wrong, so I can't actually think of it. You're right. He's not necessary.
Right. Finally, for movie news, and this was just kind of a fun little thing. There's an article over at IGN that shows how Marvel actor salaries have changed from Iron Man to Endgame. RDJ brought in a paltry $500K for the first time he suited up as Tony Stark in 2009's Iron Man. And by 2019's Avengers Endgame, he made a whopping $75 million. Chris Evans made $1 million for the first Cap, $15 million for Endgame. ScarJo, $400K for her first appearance in Iron Man 2, and will bring in about $20 million. George Washington's for Black Widow. Not a household name at the time. This one blew my mind. Not a household name at the time. Chris Hemsworth earned just $150,000 for his role as Thor Odin's son, and now brings home $15 million per film. Jeremy Renner brought in $3 million for Avengers and $6.1 million for Age of Ultron, with his highest payday possibly coming via the Hawkeye series. Rounding out the original team is Mark Ruffalo, who made $3 million for Avengers, and his salary has likely gone up, but those numbers have not been reported. For the rest of the heroes, check out that article on IGN by searching for Iron Man to Endgame salaries.
I was actually surprised that Chris Evans didn't get paid like a little bit more.
Yeah, I was a little bit.
That was the biggest.
surprised by that, too.
That was the only one. It was like, I mean, I totally believe that Tony, sorry, that Robert Downey Jr. should be paid the most. But like for $15 million compared to $75 million for Endgame was like a little.
Part of that was, if you read the article, part of it was like he had like option deals,
Right,
Where if
right.
it made X amount, then he got more. basically. Because I
It
think
was
it
just-
was actually 50, and then he picked up an extra 25 on those options.
It was one of those things where, like, it was probably one of those deals where, like, Chris Evans is like, it just is a funny way to put it. This was RDJ's last thing. Like, this was it.
Yeah.
Chris Evans, this was kind of like middle career or whatever you want to put at it.
Right.
So it wasn't taken as seriously. But RDJ had to put up a lot of. It's like that thing where, like, you know, if you're a baseball player and you're like, well, if I hit 25 homers this year, now I get the rest of this contract. And that's basically what happened with RDJ.
Yeah.
It worked out this way because this could have been abysmal for him and he would have been done, but it worked out. So, other than that, I mean, these numbers all make sense to me.
Yeah, there were some other ones. The article, I think, was probably a little bit dated because it was referring to Chadwick Boseman as like being set to star in Black Panther 2. So
Sure.
it was a little bit dated, but for whatever reason, it popped up on the homepage as I was looking through for
These things
different
happen.
things. Yeah.
Well, moving on to gaming news, Five Nights at Freddy's developer retires over political donations. It was revealed that Five Nights at Freddy's, an indie survival horror game of significant acclaim, Scott Cawthon, that's a weird name. That's a weird name. Scott Cawthon, just saying his name in general is just weird, had been donating money in the thousands to Republican candidates and officials. The uproar has caused Cawthorn to retire from the position as creator and designer amid the public heat. Five Nights at Freddy's crosses over significantly with the LGBTQ plus community, and Cawthorn's political donations were seen as disappointment to many fans. He did state the franchise will continue, which should relieve fans awaiting the next game, as well as a movie, which is currently in development.
I don't agree, obviously, with his choice of who he was donating to.
Yes.
But no one should get, and he wrote like a statement on Reddit, if I'm getting canceled over this, I'm getting canceled, whatever, I'm going to spend more time with my kids, blah, 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 blah. But I don't think anybody should get, quote unquote, canceled because of stuff like this. I think that's bullshit.
Yeah, I don't think, like, your necessarily political belief should get you canceled. I mean, like, this country is 53-47 one way. And you can't cancel 53% of the population or 47. You just can't do it. So that is a weird thing. I mean, I understand, like, the reason with the games being that way, but, I mean, he still did the games.
Right.
So, there's that. But, this weird cancel culture stuff is...
It's a pendulum, man,
Yeah.
And it swings so far one way, and then it course corrects, and it'll swing, back the other way at some point.
Right.
It's gotten to the point, like, you can't make a joke about anything. Obviously, people like Harvey Weinstein deserve to rot in prison for the rest of their lives, or worse, honestly, and other people as well. That's just the name that's on the tip of my tongue. But, like, political donations, and people are, like, raising the pitchforks and torches and coming for this guy like he's an ogre. I mean, there's plenty of sensible people who are Republicans. There's plenty of sensible people who are Democrats. There's plenty of some that are independents, whatever your slant is.
And there's plenty of idiots that are also all of those three things too. Like, that's the way to look at it too. It's like, no matter what side you support, there's idiots on your side. Right. And you can't believe it either. I just want to point that
if you have a problem with somebody's politics and they're producing games, movies, books, whatever it is, don't buy their shit.
Right. That's the biggest way to hit them.
End.
Hit them at their
Then
pocketbooks. Yep.
Don't buy, like, you have a problem with Five Nights at Freddy's guy donating to political things. Don't give him the money to do so.
Right. And he can't do it.
And then because he's going to feed his gaggle of children. This guy sounds like he's maybe a Mormon, because he's like, I'm going to spend more time with my 6 kids.
And not drink coffee, I'm guessing.
Who knows? I don't know.
Moving on. Abandon from Blue Box Games is turning into the biggest conspiracy in the gaming sector of the internet. When the game was shown in April, fans began to theorize the game was a Hideo Kojima game and or a Silent game, with rumors flying around last year.
Silent Hill game.
I'm sorry, Silent Hill game.
I missed that.
That's okay.
My fault.
We did it, but it's all right. Flying around rumors for last year that Konami had given the Silent Hill license to Sony, as well as Kojima's history of bizarre teases, such as debut Metal Gear 5 as the Phantom Pain from Moby Dick Games in 2012. The director of Abandoned, Hassan Kahraman, posted a video to Blue Lost Games Twitter confirming he is a real person and the game itself is very real.
Yeah, this is just kind of based on aesthetic. The game looks like a Silent Hill game, and there's been this... Nobody knows what Kojima's working on right now, and he has a history of this. And even after this dude posted a video of himself on Twitter today saying that, like, no, I'm a real person. I'm the director of this game. Nobody had ever heard of this studio before, really, and like people were like, "No, it's just Kojima wearing a mask of this guy." It's like, stop. But the game it does look very Silent Hills-esque, and this just is like one of these weird stories that's kind of caught fire over the last couple months and everything. But the game looks good if you're into horror games. I am not, as we have documented that I'm pretty much a bitch and I don't play things like that. But I'm interested to just kind of keep an eye on this to see like where this story goes, because I think it potentially could be an interesting conclusion.
Yeah, it definitely could be. I just like the fact that someone's like, I am a real person.
Yeah, that a guy had to come out and say that.
Yeah.
Right. It's just the mystique of Kojima or Kojima. Yeah. It's just his mystique. Like, there's very few, like most of the time with games, you're not on like a name basis with the people who make games. Very rarely. There's exceptions to the rule. Obviously, Miyamoto, the father of modern gaming with Mario and Zelda and such, and then some of the names that, like Naughty Dog with Neil Druckmann, or Cory Barlog at Santa Monica, or Phil Spencer, Todd Howard, these different guys. But like Kojima is to the point where he's not only on a name basis, but he's on a first name basis.
Right.
He's like Kobe, LeBron. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like the rest of these guys are names that if you're into the industry, but like everybody knows Kojima because of Metal Gear, because of Silent Hills. He's just one of those guys, and he's like if you really dig into him and his personality, he's such a weirdo that all of this is on the table. Like him telling this guy to go make a video, if this is really him, is on the table because of just how much of an oddball Kojima is. So it's just one of these things that I'm going to like continue to kind of keep an eye on. I don't think that it's any of that, and I think that this is just like a witch hunt basically, but it's fun to speculate.
It is fun. Nintendo of America president Doug Bowser.
Which, awesome.
I was going to say, that's why I paused.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
100%.
Oh my God.
The only thing that could have made more sense, or to make this better, is if his name would have been Mario Bowser.
Mario Bowser would have just been incredible. Shed some light, or not, on a potential upgrade Nintendo Switch in a recent interview with the Washington Post. He said, in part, "We're always looking at technology and how technology can enhance gameplay experiences. It's not technology for technology's sake," Bowser tells the Washington Post. "It's how specifically can technology enhance a gameplay experience? And then where do you apply that technology? Do you want to apply it on current existing hardware or platforms, or do you want to wait for the next platform? And then that's the right gameplay experience with that. There's a host of factors that goes into it, and it's something we're always looking at."
So this came from after E3, where there was speculation that they were going to show a beefed up Switch.
Yeah.
And he says a whole lot of nothing here, but in my opinion, what he's saying is that they're not making that machine, that they're making maybe just whatever the next thing beyond Switch is. A Switch 2, whatever. But I think that is what is being said here, is they're not making... Because like PlayStation and Xbox had a half step in the last generation. You had the PS4 Pro and the Xbox One X that was like a beefier, more powerful version of each thing, and a lot of people expected Nintendo to do that. Nintendo marches to the beat of their own drum, so it wouldn't surprise me if they did not follow that particular fad.
It's like Ghost?
No, I think somebody's, it's almost midnight here on the East Coast, and somebody's decided to rev their fucking Rebel Yell truck up it for no reason, as they are wont to do.
Sure.
But I digress. I don't think they're making a 4K Switch. That's where I was going with that.
Yeah, I don't think they're doing that either. EA teasing to a return to a dormant franchise. Fans around the interwebs are hoping for a return to the sci-fi horror series Dead Space, while others mention the Def Jam franchise, with a few even tossing NBA Street and snowboarding series SSX as possibilities. A Dead Space game may be unlikely, however, as the studio behind the game, Visceral Games, was shuttered by EA in 2017 while working on Uncharted. Games like Star Wars game held by Uncharted creator Amy Hennig, which would mean that the IP would have to be handed over to a new studio.
Yeah, I don't think that we're getting Def Jam. They're not putting out
think
rumors to bring back like Def Jam Fight for New York.
Sounds so weird.
So we'll see. I have to do a little bit more recon to see what IP that they have that they haven't put out in a while, but everybody's real hyped. EA wasn't at E3 in any capacity, so this is like they're going in July as like their own thing. So yeah, we'll see. I think Dead Space is likely.
Okay, well that's cool. That'd be cool if Dead Space came back. N64 was released 25 years ago today. Any favorite N64 games?
Obviously, that's as of recording, not of when this will really release.
Right.
So, Shadows of the Empire, GoldenEye, Perfect Dark, Mario 64, of course, Ocarina of Time, Majora's Mask.
Majora's Mask was my favorite.
That kind of covers it.
Yeah.
I think.
Mario Kart 64 was really cool.
Yeah, Mario Kart.
Yeah, that was very cool.
There was a game, I can't remember what it was. I might have to talk to a friend of mine because he'll know as soon as I mention this part. There was a game where it was like the answer to a lot of these sort of like cutesy mascot platformers, like even Mario to a degree, but also like, you know, Sly Cooper and Jack and Daxter and stuff like that. And it was supposed to be like more adult, which doesn't really fit the Nintendo motif. Usually it's more family friendly, but I just remember one of the bosses was you fought this giant turd and it had, like, when it smiled, its teeth were corn.
Oh, God.
I don't remember what that... I'm going to have to look it up. I'll put it in the clarifications for next week. But Nintendo does platformers better than anybody.
Yeah, for sure.
Especially with the, like, at the time with, like, Mario 64. But there's some great games on 64. It's not a very robust library at all.
No. It had a short, like, life. You know, in the scheme of games. Madden 22 MVP cover will feature Brady and Mahomes, but not actual MVP Aaron Rodgers. And that's Tom Brady and Patrick Mahomes, which Patrick Mahomes I covered when he was in high school, just so people know. Just get that out there. Yeah, what do you think?
Yeah.
I mean, Aaron Rodgers, I think the biggest reason is may not be on the same team, so...
Yeah, and they had that before. They had that issue with when Brett Favre retired.
Right.
If you recall, he was on whatever the hell year that was that he retired. He was the Madden cover. And he was in the Packers.
Jets.
And then like a week before the game came out, he signed with the Jets. And they had to... Eventually, they did a reprint. But it was a disaster, like that whole thing. So that's probably part of it. Also, I don't think there's a Jeopardy mode in the game. So
Also, Tom Brady's still the GOAT. So...
It's not the real MVP though this last season, so you can't call it the MVP.
Super Bowl
I don't know
MVP.
why they. What's that?
Super Bowl MVP.
Not the actual MVP though.
Most important MVP.
Well, is it?
I'd rather win a Super Bowl than win the regular season.
Yeah, I think he's overrated.
Brady?
Nah, I just said that to make you mad.
like, I was like, even you don't think that. This got me all flustered. And Patrick was pretty good too. George R.R. Martin says his work on Elden Ring finished years ago. Go fuck yourself, George R.R. Martin.
Yeah, that's what the RR stands for. It stands for go fuck yourself. I saw like a weird offshoot interview with him today where he was like, yeah, the end's going to be different than the TV show, but I feel like I kind of have to make it that way, basically.
Well, yeah, you do, because that sucked, dude.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, man.
Come on,
Fuck
George.
that guy.
No. It's a bit heavy. Bit heavy-handed.
He's just a bit heavy himself.
Well, that's why he's not going to finish those books. He's going to die of a heart attack before he finishes them. Which could be, he could die 20 years from now from a heart attack. And
Right, I was going to say, it'll be 20 years from now, so we'll get it.
Yeah, God. Following quick hitters, following the success of Loki, all Disney Plus original Marvel and Star Wars shows will be moved to Wednesday releases as Loki's top viewership in the first day. For the totals, it topped WandaVision and Falcon and the Winter Soldier's entire runs in one
That's
day.
insane. That's crazy.
Yeah, I don't think it has anything to do with the day that it released, though.
I think it's
You know
more
what I mean?
just summer.
Well, I think it's the character, honestly.
That's true. Yeah.
I think that Loki's a more popular character than any of those characters. And WandaVision was weird. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And-
Loki was a character you knew what you were getting.
Yeah.
Everything else you didn't know what you were getting at all.
I mean, I think you had a pretty good idea of what you were getting from Falcon and the Winter Soldier. I just don't think that people love those characters.
Imagine, though, it's just one of those things where, like, imagine if it was Captain America and the Winter Soldier as a TV series.
Yeah.
Then that thing blows up. I mean, that's
Yeah,
just the
sure.
difference. It's just like, yeah, you're right. So it's just Loki is a relatable character, and like you said, like we both said in this, Tom Hiddleston's awesome.
Yeah.
That's a big thing. We all love Tom Hiddleston.
Yeah. Logan Paul said on his podcast, Impulsible,
God damn it.
he could beat Mike Tyson in a boxing match. His brother Jake chimed in that he did better than Conor McGregor did against Floyd Mayweather.
Give it to us.
Yeah,
I love
I'd
it.
love to see Tyson.
I'd love to see Tyson just knock the fuck
50
out of him.
years old.
Mike Tyson is old, but like last time we saw him, he was in shape, in great shape. Mike Tyson is very strong. Like whatever.
Yeah,
you think,
there's a difference between fighting somebody who doesn't want to get hit,
right?
and fighting someone who's actively trying to murder you.
Yeah, Tyson will. I'd love to see it. I mean, the thing I always just hope for with any of these boxing matches is that don't make it a round by round, like you get 10 million per round. Just say like, I think the thing should be like, hey, Mike Tyson, if you knock out Logan Paul in the first round, you get paid more than if you do in the 7th round.
Yeah.
And then that match is over. It's over in 10 seconds. Logan Paul's on the deck in 10 seconds. It's like, hey, here's the thing: you get paid $100 million if you knock him down in the first round. You only get paid $10 million if you knock him out in the 8th round. Guess what's gonna happen?
Yeah. Well, like I said,
It's over.
Floyd Mayweather's game, 50-0, or
Yeah.
whatever, is I'm just not going to get hit. As you said, flies have a hard time landing on him. He's so fast, he's fast asleep. Whatever you want to say. Mike Tyson, first of all, when he gets into that mode, he's insane. Number one,
It's game
he's
over.
a crazy person.
Right.
And number two is when Mike Tyson steps in the ring, his game plan is murder you.
Right.
That's what I'm going to do.
It's
I'm gonna
it's
kill
a
you.
thing. Yeah, it's the thing where it's like I'm gonna keep hitting until you hit me.
Yeah.
And then if he gets hit, things change. That's what happened when he lost matches. It's because someone hit him,
Right.
and then things change. But,
Everybody
like,
has a plan
guess-
until you get hit. That's his.
Yeah, and guess what?
mantra.
Yeah, and guess what? Logan Paul not gonna hit him because he's gonna be on the deck. It's gonna be
Well-
really hard to hit someone when you're knocked the fuck out.
It's good. Yeah. It's just a different. It's just a different animal.
Also, a professional boxer,
Yeah. Well,
That's another
Floyd's a
thing, like-
professional boxer.
but Floyd's a different kind of
Yes,
professional
exactly. Well,
boxer.
that's what I mean. It's
That's
a
what I'm saying.
different-
Like
it's a
that's the
different
thing.
animal.
Like this is a guy that figured out a way to take advantage of a system. Tyson is the old school professional boxer.
Yeah, he's just going to stand and punch.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He's not going to
Yeah.
dance with him. He's going to.
No, he doesn't want his time for that shit.
No, he's too
I'll
busy
pay to
growing
see it
weed.
because I just want to see it. I want to see Tyson knocking the shit out. I'll 100% pay to see this.
Yeah. Fighting Floyd's like fighting a cheetah. Fighting Mike's like fighting a pissed off Kodiak
Like,
grizzly bear.
I'll be. I would fight Floyd way better because he's not going to hit me. If he hits me, he's not going to hurt that much. I might get knocked out, but I'll still get $50 million. But he's not going to. It's not going to fuck up my brain.
Right.
If I fight Mike Tyson, I might die.
Right.
Like I may be dead.
Yeah.
Or I'm gonna be like seriously,
Paralyzed.
bad
Paralyzed from
things
the
will happen to
eyebrows
me.
down.
Exactly. So that's the difference.
Yeah.
These Paul brothers.
and
Somebody
he
needs to do
doesn't-
something.
He
Somebody
didn't-
needs to do something with these guys. I just somebody.
Did he really do better than Connor?
No,
I mean,
he didn't.
he lasted 8 rounds. I mean, I guess the fight got
was
stopped
different,
with Connor.
though. That
but
was so
Floyd was more
different.
motivated to actually like fight. In the
Also,
match against
Connor like expended a lot of energy. Like
Yeah.
that was his thing. He was actually trying to win. That was
Yeah.
the difference. Connor actually was like, "Oh, I'm going to try to win that. I'm going to try to win this thing." That's the
Right.
thing. When you actually expend energy to try to win something, you may look worse in the like moment, but like no, I mean I think actually Connor actually did a better job because he actually tried to win.
Yeah,
He wasn't
and
trying not to
survive.
lose. Yeah,
Yeah.
it was
Yeah.
that. That's a difference. That's a difference.
Yeah, I mean, you know, let's get Connor in on one of these guys. You know,
I
you
like
go
it.
for
I will say this too. I actually like Conor McGregor. All those things. The guy wants to win. Every time he
Yeah.
does something, he doesn't
He's
care.
putting his
an
best
old-
effort. Yeah.
He puts in every effort he can. He's an old Irish guy. All they want to do is fight.
Right.
He fights people in bars. He's probably fighting someone right now in a bar for nothing.
It depends on where he's at, because if he's in England, Ireland, whatever, it's like 5 o'clock in the morning almost. It's
So
probably
he's definitely in a
not-
fight. He's definitely in a fight.
Maybe. I didn't have this on here, but for our science,
yeah.
they launched squids into space.
Sure. Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. Why not? They're aliens.
Isn't that how like the War of the Worlds happens?
I would say this probably is the end of times now. If we're just gonna launch squids into space, because they're gonna come back and they're gonna like control us now because they're so smart to begin with.
Well, here's where I'm at. Is I saw someone complaining, why are all the billionaires obsessed with going to space? And I wanted to reply, have you seen you? That's why they want to go to space. If I had money, I'd want to get the fuck away from you people too.
Yeah, same. Get away from here. Just work in retail for a couple years, people. You'll figure it out. Get the hell out of here.
Media
Jesus.
recommendations.
So last night we were just like wanting to watch something silly. If you just want to just laugh and not give a shit, watch The Wrong
Seinfeld.
Missy
Oh.
on Net. Well, yeah, do that too. But
Yeah.
The Wrong Missy on Netflix. It stars David Spade. This movie is insane. He plays a straight man to this crazy girl. It's so much fun. You're like 10 minutes in, you're like, this movie is off the rails, which I love. And it stays pretty much off the rails. And like the last 10 minutes, they have to kind of bring it back on there because you got to do something. But if you just want to laugh for a while and not care, plus David Spade has a crazy haircut. And Chris Farley's brother's in it too, so it's just a little homage to the old Chris Farley, David Spade days. Yeah, you're getting there. Have you seen it?
No.
Oh, okay. Like it looks just like it, so that's sort of funny. And I finished The Portrait of a Mirror by Natasha Joukowsky today. It's my favorite book of the year, nonfiction or fiction. Actually, I shout her out on the, you shoot your shot on the gram, and so
Yeah.
now I'm going to say she's my friend now. Maybe my best friend, other than you, Brenton. I don't know.
Friend of the program?
She's definitely a
She's
friend of
a
the
guest?
program. She's
I mean,
I'm
future guest?
I'm going to ask her. I'm
Yeah,
going to
you
ask her if
should.
she wants to come on.
Great.
It's an excellent book.
Does she watch Seinfeld?
She loves American Psycho and Gossip Girl and Taylor Swift. So
Well,
we have a lot of things.
one out of
She and I have a
three
lot of
is,
things in common. I'll ask her
one out
about
of three
Seinfeld.
still.
But she seems super cool. She's like our age. But it is like a really just gnarly book. I think you would really like it, Brenton, in the sense it is written like American Psycho. It is more like that, Gossip Girl kind of like thing. But there's a lot of American Psycho. Like if you read it in Patrick Bateman's voice with one of the characters, you'll love it.
Yeah.
I think everyone should read it, even if you don't. I feel like of those things, you probably have something you like of those because those are three very different things. But definitely my favorite book of the year. Not even close, actually. I don't give a lot of like perfect ratings to books, but I think this is actually like a perfect because I would like pick this book up and read it to people. I'm like, this paragraph, let me just read it to you because it's so well written. She's really good. So Natasha Joukowsky, I'm gonna shout you out. See if you want to come on the pod. I mentioned to her. I'll mention to her again. We watched The Wedding Singer because Jenny had never seen it. I think it's Adam Sandler's best Adam Sandler movie. That isn't like him being directed by someone outside that landscape. Super funny movie. It's also just a heartwarming movie. It's a great hit. To me, it's the best Adam Sandler going 0 to 100 moments where he's talking very gently and then just screaming at people, which I love. And then the NBA playoffs, because the Lakers aren't in it. The freaking Nets aren't in it.
Good.
It's so really fun. There was a game night. It was really fun, and Aiton had the layup or the dunk at the end of the buzzer.
Yeah,
it was awesome. The valley oop, if you're Suns culture, Suns in 4. But yeah, so I think there's a lot of content out there. But NBA playoffs, if you care at all about sports, you should be watching this. And I'll just add one other thing: the NBA ratings are up for the playoffs. It's because it's good, and I never understood this thing about local ratings. If you care about a sport, you still watch it. Like, guess what? I was a Pirates fan. I say was, and I don't care if you want to shout me out. Pirates suck, and I can't root for them, and that organization is a disaster. I was a Pirates fan for 30 plus years of my life, and then they very rarely made the playoffs. I still watch the World Series every year of my life that I could watch and pay attention to things. So if you are like, I'm out on this stuff because my team isn't in it, you don't have to watch everything, but you should at least care. Then you actually don't care about the sport. You're just like, oh, city culture. I like to say it's just like the Steelers fan culture. That's what I'll call it. Steelers fan culture. Well, I'm a Steelers fan, but if they're not in it, they don't actually care about football. Then you actually don't care about football. You're just out. You don't give a shit. So, be a sports fan or don't. That's where I'm at. Suns and Go Hawks, though.
I'll be honest with you. I must not be a hockey fan.
Yeah, I'm not either.
Because
I'm saying, like, don't be the hockey guy though. It'd be like, well, I'm a Penguins fan. I'm a Penguins fan, but like, oh my god, they lost in the first round, so like, fuck it, I'm out.
I'm gonna be honest with you. I think it's lazy. I'll watch the Super Bowl.
Sure.
Everybody watch Super Bowl. I tend to watch more NBA stuff when my teams are not in it.
Well, it's the best sport. That isn't.
I don't watch baseball playoffs after Cleveland's out because
not even the World Series.
No. Mm-mm.
What?
Because
I'm so disappointed.
Well, you wouldn't know what this is like, what I'm about to tell you, because you're a Pirates fan. When you carry such weighty expectations into the playoffs,
sure,
like for a long time, you know what I mean? Like off and on since the mid '90s as an Indians fan.
Indians are a relevant
and you
organization.
Get so close.
Yeah.
On so many occasions, I get like depressed when they're out. So I'm just like, I can't watch anything. I can't watch anymore. I mean, I still pay attention to it. I still know who's winning and stuff like that. I just don't watch any of the games because I just can't do it.
I think there's like this difference too, where I became a sports writer, and you have to be.
You have to be knowledge. Yeah, you have to be.
You have to kind of know everything, and you can't care as much.
Yeah.
And about your particular team. And so I became more of like, I like certain players. Like I root for the Lakers and I root for the Dodgers and stuff like that. But I'll watch, if there's a game on at 1 o'clock in the afternoon and I'm off, I'll just have that game on in the background. I don't care what baseball game it is. Just give me something.
Well, you also don't have kids, and that makes
I also
it
don't
harder
have
to
kids.
watch
That is a
things.
truth. That is factual. I don't have
but
kids.
man,
that does change
like
things.
2017, when they had the 22 game winning streak.
Oh yeah, that team was.
And they looked like they were just gonna cakewalk to the World Series, and then got bounced in the first round. That was
weird.
Just that stung more than the World Series loss, honestly.
I will say I've never rooted for a team where I've had like that kind of heartbreaking of a loss.
Well, that's all my teams.
Yeah, well, my teams all just suck. Though that's like the difference is like like Michigan. I would say the closest thing is Michigan losing Ohio State that year, where it was like they had it, and then they lost it. I can't remember the exact year, but it was just like that's it. But normally Michigan sucks. And Michigan, as you know, is the team I root for the hardest. Like, that is the team I've been with since I was 6 years old, and, like, Michigan football. It's just, that's all, like, I mean, I kind of live or die by that. I, like, record games, and you got a funny face on you.
Nah, I don't think that's true.
What do you think it is?
UNC.
It was until things got so weird with college basketball. I will say it kind of stopped around their last championship and was like, it's just, I don't know anybody on these teams anymore. That's my thing. Like, I don't, like football, at least you know people, they hang around, but the basketball scene, like, nobody hangs around. Then the basketball players in UNC and like Roy Levin, I still really care about UNC and I still root for it, but it's just like.
Here's what I'll say is if you don't know who they are, you're not really a fan.
What I mean is like they're literally freshmen every year. and all
Yeah,
this stuff.
sure.
And that's the
You
weird
gotta
thing to
read
me.
the
It's just,
Rivals.
well, I do read the Rivals, but it's just like I don't have that relationship from the last year. I don't have like, my high school guys telling me things. I do love, I mean, those aughts, the aughts of UNC were my favorite rooting interest. That was awesome.
Tell me how you feel about
Tyler
Ed Coe,
Hansbrough, man. Ed
We
Coe's
don't
the
have
greatest
time.
college point guard
So,
in my lifetime.
Moving on. Media recommendations for me. I finished Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart, platinumed it. I do have a video forthcoming. I actually have it
Nice.
on the computer here. I just have to figure out how I want to roll that out. I started Far Cry 4 just as kind of like a nice little palate cleanser. And then on Netflix, I've been watching this show just in the last couple of days. It was recommended to me by David S. from Carn City. And I told him, I said, well, the last recommendation you gave me was such a banger, it got canceled a week after it debuted on Netflix, which was that Jupiter's Legacy show.
Oh, right, yeah.
So he said, you got to check out this show, Ragnarok. You'll like it. I'm like, I don't know. It sounds weird. It's not Thor Ragnarok. You know what I mean? So I started watching it. It's really good. It's really good. It's it's a Netflix original, but it's a Swedish company and it's foreign language, and that's kind of the nice thing. As weird as it sounds, it's in whatever language they speak in Sweden. I assume Swedish.
Swedish, probably.
With English subtitles, and I kind of like that because it forces you to put the phone down and pay attention.
Yeah, pay attention. Yeah.
Whereas, like, even with Loki, there's times where if it's slow, I'm like, what's going on Bleacher Report or whatever. It's nice because it forces you to watch it. And here's the other thing is this is gonna come off as a very weird comparison. It's definitely not a 1-to-1 comparison. It kind of reminds me of Twilight in a way. Because
yeah,
like
Twilight.
No, just listen, just hear me out.
I know.
They are in Twilight. You have this family. They're very mysterious, whatever. They're all very attractive people, and they end up being good, right? And in this show, you also have a similar circumstance. The show takes place in a very small town in Sweden. They make a point of it to say that it's the last town that converted to Christianity versus the Old Norse gods or whatever. You have this family, and they're very attractive people. And they're, you know what I mean? But they're the bad guys in this. So it's kind of interesting to see. And like the kids, like that becomes Thor is like this big dumb galoot. He actually kind of looks like Tom Brady in the face a little bit. I just really like it. And the seasons are short. So far there's 2 seasons. There's 6 episodes apiece. They're like 45-minute long episodes. It's really, really, really good. It's kind of foreign stuff is like this a lot. It's like way more subdued. It's not like in your face with like the special effects and action and all that stuff. And there's a crazy curveball twist at the beginning or the end of the first episode. So I highly recommend, like I said, Ragnarok. It's on Netflix. So there's that.
Nice.
BXG podcast publishes every Friday at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 9 a.m. Pacific Time, 7 a.m. Hawaiian.
Aloha.
Social media, facebook.com/BXG podcast, Instagram @BXG podcast, @GTFills @Y2B. We're doing the contest, $25 gift card to whatever is your choice. Just as long as it's not weird. I'm not buying you a gift card to Skip's video. Or, like the Sugar Shack or something. But, the rules there, you share our posts, tag one of us or the podcast over on that. So other than that, listen to the Marvel episode. It's our extra episode for
so
June.
good.
We're going to have phase 2 is going to be in July, and then phase 3 and probably 2 episodes in August. And we might be doing another extra episode this month too. We'll see how that goes. But otherwise, tell your friends, tell your family.
Tell your mothers
About the unmistakable essence of the BXG podcast. Take care, everybody.